Are you ready?
Starting now?
Well, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now.
All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober Not Mature. And this is season fucking 5.
Wow.
I know. Okay, so we're going to take a few minutes at the beginning of the podcast and just we're going to list out everything that's going to happen in this season, everything new. Mike's compiled the list. So Mike, go ahead.
There it is.
There it is. And then the goddamn thing's gonna change. And we did not rehearse that, but I knew you know exactly what I was doing. So thank you for playing along.
Sure.
We actually had a pre-podcast meeting, but it had nothing to do with anything we were going to talk about. It has to do with fucking tax shit, and that's a whole nother story that we don't need to talk about on here. But only thing I'll say is don't open an LLC in Indiana because they don't sometimes have the forms ready for you to go. But that's a whole nother story. Hello, Mike.
Hi there. Hi, Bill.
Yeah. So seriously though, I mean, here's the thing though. I mean, this is episode 105, which is cool. And we can talk more about this, but we don't do anything different. We've made a couple of changes along the way. As everyone knows, we're not about the brand new year, a brand new season, nothing.
No.
If we feel like fucking changing something or not doing something or doing something, we just fucking do it because you know what? That's what we were taught in sobriety. So
that's right.
That's why we do practicing these principles. I heard in all of our affairs.
All of them.
So speaking of practicing those principles, we're still going to do a reading in season 5, aren't we?
Are we?
I think we should. That's one of you know what? I don't know if anyone else looks forward to it. I do. And here's the thing though. I post a reading on Instagram, which hits Facebook every morning too. Yeah. And I see a lot of people that's one of the things that gets a lot of activity on our Instagram page, aside from, all the fucking nasty memes.
Right.
But, people will share it on their stories. Some people will comment. They're like, thanks for posting this, needed to hear this. So I do it because I do it. And I've done it for years under different medium.
Right. Right. Yeah. Somewhere. Right.
Media under different areas other than just Instagram. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I think people appreciate it, and I hope people appreciate this reading because I don't know. I'm glad we started it, and I know you are too. So yeah. So let's okay, Mike, over to you. Let's do a reading.
All right. This is actually from this week, February 20th. I am grateful for this minute. My eternity may be in it. That's from the AA Grapevine magazine newsletter thingy-bob from March 1947. The present moment is our link to the divine. How we conduct ourselves in the present moment is how we come to know what we believe in. We must never forget that moments are tied together, one moment leading into the next. Thus, by acting from our values in this moment, we increase our chances of acting from our values in the next moment. If we stay tied to the divine in this moment, we increase our chances of being tied to the divine in the next moment. Recovery allows us to choose what we do with our moments and what we choose to be tied to. Dependence, on the other hand, is the loss of choice. Are we grateful for having choices again? Are we grateful to be able to connect with the divine in this very moment? Prayer for the day. I am grateful to have this moment. Higher power, help me to use it to help others and to do what you want me to do. In reality, it is your moment. Thank you. Today's action says actions because this is a program of action. I will work to live. I will work to live today in the moment. I will work to see and find my higher power in the moments. If I can do this, I will stay connected to eternity.
All right, sorry. I was making a
Yep.
note and had to put my pen down. I'm like, fuck, I want to unmute, but okay, so I like that one. There was a lot
Yeah.
of I put quotes in quotes the divine. So there was a
Mhm.
lot of
Well,
was this from
as
the grapevine or no?
yeah,
Divine, get it?
divine, the great fun, divine. Um, right. Right. Well, and this is a wonderful example of me taking what I can use and leaving the rest.
Right. And we talk about that a lot. I mean, that's from all these readings that we do, or I'm sorry, that Mike
Mhm.
does is they're all from God Grant Me, which
Yeah.
is his number one favorite book, and
Yep.
certainly it's there's a few that I read, but I love it. That's the second one I read every day, 24
Mhm.
hour first, and then obviously that one, and the other, I don't know that I think God Grant Me probably has the least amount of God-ish things in it. Do you agree?
Yeah, I know. Ironically, right, the one that's God Grant Me has God right there in the title is the
Right.
least certainly religious, compared to like the 24-hour book.
Right.
And yeah, it is 9 times out of 10 that will use the phrase higher power than something else, whatever, God or whatever, because they know what we are. And it's our choice to find our higher power, a power greater than ourself, whatever that happens to be.
Right.
And yes, this one does have a lot, and it ends with the word eternity, which I don't believe in that either. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I love the sentiment of this moment. This is all we have. Is this
Right.
very moment. Living in the now is a huge part of the program. It should be. It's a big part of my program.
Right.
The past we can't change, and the future is not guaranteed, and there's nothing we can do about it anyway. Right now is all we have, and as long as it makes it a lot easier for me, I know that.
Right.
I mean, I certainly when I was in my my delusions. I definitely was focused a lot on the past because God knows my present sucked ass. And, I did a lot of dreaming about the future too, hoping that it wouldn't be as bad as the moment was. And hey, guess what? Like the reading said, what happens in this moment's probably going to influence what happens in the next moment.
Right.
And
Yeah,
hey, what
and
do you know? It fucking did. I sucked ass in that moment. I sucked ass in the next moment.
yeah, you put together enough, and we always talk about that goes back to talking about bad days versus bad moments, which
Mm-hmm.
is we talked about it plenty, but I think it's hugely important. That's like the number one thing that
Mm,
gets me through life, the days, the
right.
weeks, the all that stuff is realizing that. And I think it's important that this is talking about obviously putting moments together. It's looking at it certainly from a more positive spin, but
Mm-hmm.
I also look at it from on the other side, figuring that okay, there could be, like we talked about, there's no such thing as a bad day. It's just a lot of
Mm-hmm.
bad fucking moments.
Right.
And if there's, let's say there were 1,000 moments in a day, and you
Mm-hmm.
may have 989 that are bad that day.
Yeah.
There's 11 good ones, and you got to focus on those 11, rather
Absolutely.
than the 989. Which, don't get
Mm-hmm.
me wrong, it's not fucking easy at
No.
all.
No. But like
But
everything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wrote down. I was just the only reason I circled and quoted out the divine because I thought it was kind of funny, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you made the point of that because it is true. The 24-hour book very God not very but more religious based.
Mm-hmm.
Even because I read a day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think that may not get as God ish, but it talks more. That'll focus a lot strictly on just AA stuff. And then keep it simple seems to be the one that's almost the kind of like breezy one in the wind type of thing most of the time, where
Right.
it's not really, I'm trying to think, it's probably not as God-ish,
Mm-hmm.
probably more AA than it is anything. But
Right.
I don't know. I mean, between the four books that I read, I get a nice mix. But it's funny, is those, like when there was a lot of we talked about it a couple episodes, the anger and fear and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was the theme in all four of those books, that
Right.
like for a particular week or 2 weeks or whatever it was, which is nice, because I mean, granted, yes, they're all in the same day and this and that, but I don't know. I mean, I suppose these people that wrote these books, I mean, they had to
Mm-hmm.
draw from other things. So I'm sure that, I don't
Sure.
know, or maybe the last couple of weeks were Fear and Anger Week, national National Fear and Anger Week that we didn't know about.
Fear and loathing.
Yeah. Look up National Fear and Loathing. Oh, fucking look at that, the dates now. But no, this particular one, like the first thing that it said, grateful for this moment, I wrote down.
Mm-hmm.
Moments are tied together, which obviously we were just talking about a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
then I liked where it said dependence is the loss of choice.
Right.
So I didn't have a chance to think about it, but I don't know. I was gonna say, what does that mean to you? But you know what I mean. What do you think of that? Dependence is the loss of choice. How does that one like sit with you, or what do you think about that?
No, absolutely. I agree with it. Yes. Yeah, when I'm a slave, I don't have a choice. I've talked about it a million times how, I don't want to get loaded today and I end up loaded. Yeah, I don't have a choice when it comes to drinking. And I have to remember I still don't. I will always never have a choice. I know that doesn't make total sense, but it does.
Right.
I will never not have a choice when it comes to drinking. The choices I have today are to do the things that these people taught us to do, so I don't have to take that first drink and that first drug. But if I don't do those things, if I choose not to do my readings and do my prayers and be a good boy and do the next right thing and all that simple shit, I will lose the choice. I will pick up a drink and a drug, and I will destroy my life and the life of everyone around me. And, I don't want to do that today. So I guess I will choose to do this stuff.
Well, and what about on the other side though? I mean, we've got dependence on this program and the 12 steps and the people. It's
Sure.
more of a devil's advocate type of statement, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can we look at that dependence as a loss of bad choices? Or I mean, how do we look at that?
That's actually a really good way to do it.
I mean, that's the first thing that popped into my head, because our dependence on this program and these principles and these folks
Mm-hmm.
that we were friends with is not a bad thing, but
Right.
that dependence does. I mean, it helps us get rid of those. We lose the bad choices.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. Yes, of course. Right. I mean, yes, that my alcoholic mind will go, well, you're still dependent on something. Yeah, I am, asshole. That's right. I certainly am. But yes, with this dependence, I lose the bad choices. I get to make good choices, which in the long run, being selfish and self centered, makes my life better. So why wouldn't I want to choose the good things and have that little bit of dependence on things that are good?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me write that down. I said something worthwhile.
You
Bill, what
did.
day is it? What day is it today? The 23rd,
Third.
right? 223. Oh yeah, real quick. Kylie's birthday. So our
Right.
niece, our sister's daughter, her birthday was
Mm-hmm.
yesterday. So I don't know if she
Right.
still listens to us, but it was a day late. But obviously we all wished her happy birthday on Facebook or texting or whatever. But happy birthday
Yep.
to our little mentee. Because
Mentee.
yeah, because isn't that what? Because we were mentors of hers, so she would be a mentee.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Right. And then I brought up the band, The Mentors, and that's when Kathy banned her from looking up anything on YouTube that Uncle Mike said.
Right, yeah, because you gotta figure, because her and my son are, I mean, they're only, well, he was what, the 6 months apart. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
both of them were, they were 8 and 9 years old when we got sober. And
Right.
it wasn't that long until obviously Mike came into our lives and hanging out at family
Mm-hmm.
events. So we're talking 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. And
Right.
we haven't
Yeah.
we
I
haven't
think I
changed.
think at that point she was, yeah, right. I think at that point she was around 12 or so. And yeah, right. She went and looked up the band, The Mentors. And for you adults in the audience, go ahead and check them out sometime because they're wonderful.
But yeah, that's what we used to play Cards Against Humanity and have to have Kathy screen the cards and stuff. And yeah, it was still fun. But yeah, there was some nasty one. She's like, "Nope, Kathy, go through this big pile of cards. With there's being this whole pile of shit." And if anyone's ever played Cards Against Humanity, it's hard to play with a 12-year-old, or a couple
It
of them,
is.
So
Right?
it was still fun. But there was still things
Well,
that we could use and
yeah.
that she didn't necessarily know, or at least we don't think she knew. But so it was fun.
Right. It was. Yes, and we had to censor ourselves a bit. That's all right. Now
Yeah,
we don't have to because she's
yeah,
all
right.
grown up.
Right. Yeah. So just real quick, that just reminded me. Yeah, happy birthday to Kylie. So,
Mhm.
all right. So the last thing, the moments are tied together. Like I said, we pretty much talked about that. We agree with, and the
Mhm.
last thing I wrote down on there, which I think was in the action part, was living in the moment. Which once again, I know we talked about, but that's
Mhm.
huge. But yeah, it can be. I mean, it can be difficult. A lot of times because it's
Sure.
especially if you get a person like me that. I've been honest. I'm impatient as fuck, and it's really hard to sit here
Mhm.
and enjoy, not to just enjoy the moment, but not to live outside of what I'm, where I am right now. And the other
Sure.
thing too, just so everyone realizes,
Right.
when we talk about the future and stuff like that, I mean, you can still. There's nothing wrong
Mhm.
with planning for the future. That's healthy. That's fine.
No, of course
But the
not.
key there is to
Sure.
not to have worry about the future, right? Not to, I don't know, freak out
Exactly.
about the future.
Yeah.
So
And don't focus on the future so much that you're losing the moment that you're in, which
right.
is we can do. I know I've done it plenty of times. Yeah. Looking forward to something and missing what's happening right now.
Right. Smelling the roses, watching a sunrise or a
That's right.
sunset or
Look at
whatever.
that
Yeah.
fucking moon.
Yeah. Look at that fucking moon. Thank you, Heidi. And it was
Thank
within the
you.
last week or so, the moon was kind of huge-ish, and I was standing outside. I'm like, God
Hmm.
damn, that fucking moon. That fucking moon.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of that, speaking of sunrises, sunsets, and all that stuff, I
Mm.
actually I booked another trip around Ollie's birthday. Well, his birthday is actually the 15th of March, and Kimmy and Brian are having a birthday party for him in Oshkosh. Um,
No, it just
and
cracks me up, man. All the grandkids. My grandkid is May 15th. Chris's grandkid is April 15th, and yours is
really,
March 15th. Yep.
oh, that's kind of fun. Yeah, I didn't.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, I didn't. I guess I never even. I didn't know about Chris on Chris's side, but
Uh-huh.
obviously Lydia I knew, but I forgot it was the 15th. But yeah, that is kind of
Well.
funny. But so the next week, whatever that is, like the 24th or something like that, they're having the get
Hmm.
together for him. And the short story is, I'm trying to do something else through Airbnb. There's this thing you can do. It's like like we have on our store. Called Shop, where you can actually buy stuff and have interest-free payments and things like that through the shop.
Sure.
Airbnb's got this thing also where you could do that, and I did it when I took my trip to South Carolina, where they'll split it up
Hmm.
into certain payments if you want. And I'm like, let me do this, figuring the whole
Right.
point is if you can build this stuff, build up basically a bank. It's almost like a credit card type of thing,
Sure.
where they will, if it's a larger quote unquote purchase, they'll charge you interest if you don't pay it off. But I'm like, I want
Hmm.
to start banking some of that stuff to have this other avenue. So whatever. And plus, I thought it'd be fun to be up there during that time. So if you look at Wisconsin and you see that big lake in the middle, that's Lake Winnebago. And
Hmm.
right at the bottom, the south end of that is Fond du Lac. And I found
Right.
a house to rent for that week, the Saturday prior to his birthday party, and then through the next weekend, which is the Saturday before Easter, which obviously we haven't talked about. But if you're coming
Huh.
down here, I mean, I'll be back on Saturday. But yeah, right on the lake. So I
Cool.
found a place to rent up there. But it's just reminded me of it because it's right on that southern corner. So you could walk out there. I should be able to see sunrises and sunsets while I'm there, which is cool. And I can still work obviously because I made
Cool.
sure that I need to have the router modem. I need to be able to plug in, and all that stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of
Hmm.
cool. So my and that's what made me think about
Nice.
too with this whole future planning I mean, I'm kind of starting to plan out where I want to be and where I need to be, during certain months. So
Right.
April is our anniversary month. June is the retreat and Founders Day. So I need to start kind
Right.
of planning some of this stuff. So I'm doing future planning though in a positive way, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
again, you're not doing it to the point where, oh, I'm fucked today, man. I'm worried about next month.
No. Nope. Not at all.
Right.
Just it actually you know what? It makes me really happy because I've been planning on doing this traveling for 3 years now, I think.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and
At
I knew
least
that,
two.
it oh yeah, well, and yeah, you got to figure it was a year before, at a minimum a year before. I wanted to start doing it like a year ago, but obviously came down here with mom's health and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So
Right.
that was a year in there, and I think it was a year or so before that. But yeah, 2.5,
Yeah.
3 years, whatever the case is. But all this stuff is starting to fall into place. But I had to be patient. I'm not forcing anything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing things I can't afford.
Right.
um, but it's still, I mean, this job is going well. It's, I'm doing a lot of training. It's a fucking lot, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see just watching the other reps and seeing where they're at. I mean, the potential is huge. So I know I can do it. It's just a matter of, again, planning, but enjoying the
Yeah.
fact it's making my moments now wonderful because all the things that I've been planning for or thinking about over the last few years, are coming into play, and it's
Mm-hmm.
fucking awesome. So,
Yep.
so anyhow,
Cool.
that was a
Nice.
sideline. That was a
Promises,
sideline on that.
man.
But
Fucking promises.
yeah. So wait. I just want to recap for everyone. So obviously we quit drinking, put down the bottle, and then we have to do all this fucking work. We got to go to meetings. We got to read these fucking
Uh-huh.
books. We have to be good human
Yep.
beings, and then all this really good shit happens to us. Let me just okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Whew, I'm wiping my brow
Not
because
right
it's so
away,
hard.
but
Yeah,
eventually
I
it
know.
happens.
Yeah, and it's certainly not like I didn't necessarily I haven't been waiting, almost 14 years to be able to do this. I didn't start thinking about this until, again, whether it was 2 or 3 years ago doesn't matter. It's been a
Right.
period of time, but I knew it one step at a time. I had to, get the job. The remote job was
Uh-huh.
key, and I just started this job 3 weeks ago, so
Right.
but that was the key. Without the job and the ability to go anywhere, I can't do the rest.
Right.
And then doing the research and doing all the stuff. And I've taken a couple of trips to see that I know that the traveling part, I know how to pack all my shit in my car. I mean, literally everything. I've got all that stuff. It's all worked out. I've taken trial runs on everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Right.
it's just kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. That was a side note. I don't even know how I got on that. I talked about a sunset, I think.
Yeah, you did. Right.
Yeah.
Possibly a
So
sunrise.
right, and so that's another note that the rambling part is not going to change in season
Oh,
5.
God, no. No.
Yeah, we're Mike and I are just going to continue to have these fucking random conversations with ourselves, and you guys get to listen. Either you have to listen or you
Right.
get to listen. I don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's good,
Yeah,
bad, or
whatever.
indifferent. But yeah, exactly. Oh, so here's the other thing. We are coming up. So let me ask you first before I say this.
Mm-hmm.
A podcast anniversary, is that considered, if I'm talking about it early, is that fronting?
I mean, you can talk about it all you want. It hasn't happened yet, but so
Okay.
yes, a podcast anniversary.
Okay. So our 2-year anniversary, and the reason I thought about it, and I wasn't going to argue about it, but I have a defendable point.
All right.
And my defendable point is this episode, even if
Mm-hmm.
both of us fucking die, like right after we're done recording this, done. We
All
just
right.
drop dead, at our computers. Well, no, it can't happen.
It's
That I got to get the
possible.
episode. I have to get the episode published first.
All right.
But
Right.
this episode will live through the week, so
Mm-hmm.
we're already there. With this episode, we're there. That was my defendable point.
Okay. All right.
I
It's a
know.
little murky, but
It's the easier, softer way. All right. So
right.
anyhow, everyone,
So
if
when
you're
is
listening,
the anniversary date?
27th, February 27th. It'll
Okay.
be 2 years.
All
2
right.
years for
Cool.
this wonderful podcast. But I'll do a promotion on whatever day. What day is that? Is that going to be Wednesday?
Yeah. Yes, maybe. I
Wednesday.
don't know.
I don't have my calendar.
Hang
Hang
on.
on.
I got it right
Yeah.
here. No,
As
that's
if we just.
calculator. One of these days I've got to move that in my phone because I have calculator and calendar right next to each other. The 27th,
It's
Tuesday. That's
Tuesday.
what I thought. Yep.
All right. So yes, watch for a promotion on Tuesday for our podcast. I'll just do up a nice little
Okay.
promotion thing. I'll probably run. Maybe what I was thinking about was you and I doing like a little promo, like we did our website promo. I'm like, fuck it. I think I'll just I'll do the nice thing on Canva and then drop Breeze's your fuck off message behind it. So, but yeah, that's easier. That's less work for both of us. So
Yeah. Works for
But
me.
yeah, so I know. But either way, what I was going to say before though is one way or the other. I mean, coming up in this season, I mean, we've done 104 episodes. I mean, obviously this is episode 105. We've talked about the fact of no expectations, little expectations, things building, all that stuff over the time frame. All these things are kind of cool. And I mean, worst case scenario, and I was thinking about this coming into this tonight. 1 year again, unless we died within that 1 year period, 1 year was going to happen because that was just out of fucking spite for that motherfucker that said, 90% of the podcast failed. So even if we stood, just stood on our heads and just talked gibberish into here up, for 52 episodes, 1 year was going to happen. But
right.
But I don't know.
And
I mean,
it did.
we
stood on our heads and talked gibberish, and, and now we've done it for another year.
I know. And the thing of it is, and the other thing I thought about, which at this point, it's not even about expectations. It's not about anything anymore. It's a fact of this is what we do. And yes, I watch the number of plays and things have dipped a little bit, but they ebb and flow, and it has the entire for 104 episodes, it ebbs and flows. So I'm not worried about that anymore. But if anyone's out there listening, same thing we always say, if this does anything for you, and Mike said it eloquently last week. Can you repeat what you said last week? Do you remember?
Oh, Jesus, no.
Okay, yeah, well, that's right.
I'm living in the moment, man. I don't remember last week.
You said something along the lines here. Listen up, you selfish motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, don't keep this shit to yourself, man. Share it with your friends and your enemies.
Right. So, but yeah, so we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep doing it anyhow. But if you as one of our loyal listeners is getting something out of this, please share it with a friend, because I'm still having fun doing this, and I think you are too. So, so yeah, okay, cool. Well, that's enough stroking each other's penises. Let's go on to something else.
My hand's getting tired.
I know. And yet another thing that will not change. And one last thing, and I've got to touch base with this person. And it's another note I wrote down. Do you remember that we agreed to host a meeting at 10 p.m. Eastern time next Friday night? The podcast?
No.
I didn't think you did. So it's the
Good Lord, no. What? What now? I agreed to what?
So it's a podcast called the Dopey Podcast. They do recovery meetings, and we were approached, a couple months ago now, or at least a month or so ago, about she wanted us to lead a meeting.
Very hazily ringing a bell somewhere out in the mist.
And what I did, you and I agreed to it, and I told you, I said, I'm going to set a reminder 1 week prior. This is 1 week prior. And I said, I'll touch base with her, which I haven't yet. But everyone, again, if you're listening, we may be leading a meeting on, I know a lot of people have heard of the Dopey Podcast. They're kind of a big deal, bigger than us. So we may have that opportunity to lead a recovery meeting next Friday night. So I don't know if those go live or anything like that, but I know, yeah, and that's why when she brought it up and I reached out to you and like, yeah, what the hell, or we talked about it. In my head, I'm like, fucking really? He agreed to it? Okay.
What are you willing to do, asshole?
I know, and I think that might be what you said at the time. I don't remember, but anyhow, everyone, more to come. More to come.
More will be revealed.
Yes, it will, and I will check with her tomorrow. So,
all
right. A couple of things that, and I've got a few things from the reading, but this is one that this was just kind of fun. Okay, so I'm gonna read this. This was a story that they talked about on the morning show that I listened to, and just the other day. I don't think however it came up, the story was from a couple years ago, but it was kind of funny. So
Mhm.
it was actually a raccoon that this happened to, but I'm going to read it as if this were a drunk man. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, everyone, breaking news. A drunk man in Georgia was found frozen to a railway track by his testicles after
Mm.
temperatures dropped after temperatures dropped to minus 12 degrees. The animal was seen facing an oncoming train, straddling the metal tracks. This is the guy that helped. I poured the warm water under his bottom while a coworker worked the shovel under his butt to try to break him loose, says Neil, who rescued the drunk man. So literally, I'm sitting there. I was either taking a shower, getting ready, or whatever when they're reading this. I'm like, that would be fucking hilarious if that all you'd have to do is put drunk man place a raccoon, and I'm like, this could easily be a story of
And
some fucking
change Georgia to Florida, and there
yeah.
you go.
Yeah, or Cleveland for God's sakes, who knows?
Right.
But so that just made me think about it. Did you ever have?
Did I
I
ever get
mean,
my nuts stuck to a railroad track?
no, that was surprisingly
Okay.
that was not going to be my question. But
Oh, okay.
was there ever a time either when you woke up, got yourself stuck in a weird circumstance like that when you were drunk that it was either embarrassing or possibly could have been deadly? And I don't even know.
Mm.
That's a very broad, kind of a broad question. But no, I didn't. I guess what maybe let me ask. I shouldn't assume. Have you ever had your testicles frozen to railroad tracks? Let's start there.
Let's start there. um, to the best of my knowledge, no.
Okay, good.
But it's certainly possible. Um,
Right.
right. Um, I've certainly come to in bad situations. Oof. Yeah, I remember one time. Um, I was where the hell? I was in California. I was I think I may have been staying with my mom briefly. Um, and I went up to a local, like the nearest bar, and got hammered, got blacked out, and woke up behind the bar the next morning. I have no idea how I got out there. I have no idea. Right. I slept outside in behind this bar out by the dumpster. I would assume they just fucking poured me out there and left me.
Where
Yeah.
you belong by a dumpster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most certainly. They probably just couldn't lift my fat ass up and get me in the dumpster. That's where I really belonged. Yeah. Clearly anything could have happened to me. It didn't, and yeah, that came to mind. I haven't thought about that in a long damn time. But yeah, right. Yeah, there's a dangerous one. I was outside, completely passed out. Fucking anybody could, come along and done anything to me. I wouldn't have known.
Right. Yeah, the only one that and I really when I write this shit down, I try not to I said this before, but I really try not to think
Mhm.
about it because I don't want to
Right.
I don't want to ruin my thoughts or whatever kind of, you know, railroad track it
Hmm.
into one direction. But I mean, I was trying to think about, places. I couldn't think of one right off the top of my head, but the only thing that just popped into my head was, did I ever talk about that bar where I literally probably could have gotten killed by like 7 black guys in a bathroom? Did I ever tell
No,
you that
I
one?
don't believe I've
Okay.
heard this one. No.
Okay. So when Dawn and I were together, again, people that she worked with and a few other people, we go out to, there was like, there was some bars and then also so like dance clubs and things like that around Menominee Falls, the north side of Milwaukee, where Mike, where you and I went to see Lita Ford, that place that's a strip club, used to
Hmm.
be a dance club, for
Yeah.
instance. So we'd go
Right.
there sometimes. And then there was this basically it was a hip hop bar, dance club that a couple of her she worked with a couple of younger women who were she was
Mm-hmm.
friends with, and I got to know them too. They're very cool, but they used to like this
Mhm.
bar, like great dance music and whatever. So we go down there a couple of times. It wasn't in the worst neighborhood, but there had been, I mean, there's shootings there every once in a while. There's fights. It's not the greatest place in the world to be. But we go with a group of people.
Uh-huh.
It's no big deal. It was fun. So we go down there one time, and I'm fucking loaded. I mean, not like stumbling drunk, but
Mm-hmm.
clearly after you hear what I said, you're going to realize I certainly wasn't in my right mind. So I go into the bathroom, and it's a small bathroom. Again,
Mm-hmm.
there's 5, 6, 7 black dudes in there, and nobody. It had nothing to do with the color of their skin or anything like that. Everyone was cool. We were all having a good time. I
Mm-hmm.
said something stupid, and they were about ready to kill me. So I'm in there. I go to
Mm-hmm.
the bathroom, wash my hands, and this one dude, he's like sitting on the counter. He's talking to his buddies, and he's blah blah blah. Somehow comes up with a conversation of that he needs to find some pussy, can't get pussy, whatever. He goes, I'm sitting here looking for pussy, and then I'm washing my hands, and I'm like, well, maybe your problem is you're looking for pussy in a men's bathroom. He jumps off the counter, and the rest of the guys form a circle around me. And I'm like, in my head, I mean, seriously, I'm
Mm.
like, oh, fuck me, And I'm just being the same guy I am now. But I was drunk, but I mean, my smart mouth was always there,
Sure.
but clearly I wouldn't have said something like that in a normal state.
Uh-huh.
And the guy's like, what the fuck did you say to me?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, I was just fucking around. And then he comes up, he puts his arm around me, and he's just and his guys are kind of closed. And then he's like, what's your fucking name? And he's asking me all this stuff. What do you do for a living? He started asking me shit. And then I'm like, seriously, I was just fucking around. And he
Mhm.
asked me a couple of questions, and he's like, you know what? He goes, you're all right. He goes, that was funny. He goes, kind of a ballsy fucking thing to say in a bathroom with a bunch of people you don't know. But he goes, that's fucking funny. He goes, have a good night. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
But no reason in the world why they wouldn't have or shouldn't have just beat the fuck out of me, And yeah, so
Mhm.
that was probably my
Yeah.
I would say my most dangerous one, but
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's good. And it is a good line. And yeah, they would have been complete assholes to actually beat you up over that. Yeah, fucking with you back is pretty good. But yeah,
right.
it's a good line, man. Yeah, what are you looking for pussy in men's room for, asshole?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, great line, but you gotta know your crowd. Read the room, I guess would have been the best way to put it.
Right.
So
Sure.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
But
dangerous shit. Do I what?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, do you hear me cut out at all? Because you're cutting out every once in a while. I feel like we have a delay a little bit.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, quite a bit
Really?
actually.
Okay.
You're cutting out on my end. Yep.
Huh. Well, that's kind of weird. All right, you know what? Maybe should we take a break and start up a new studio? I mean, I don't know. I mean, just between you and me, we
Right.
go ahead and do it because I think the conversation's going fine, but every once in a while I don't hear anything. And then I was wondering if you were cutting out or if I was. So I don't know.
I think we
So
both
what do you think?
are.
Should we?
Yeah. You know what? This is a good time. We'll take a break. We will have a word from our sponsor. We will re-rig some stuff, and we'll be right back with more nonsense with hopefully not a delay.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi there.
Yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have 2 websites now. So
two
websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And once again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, everyone. Welcome back. And yet another thing that will not change in Season 5. Technical issues, us talking about it openly, and the fact that I'm not going to edit any of that fucking shit. When I said that we were going to start a new studio, fuck it. We're keeping it real, yo.
All right, you caught me taking a drink. God damn it.
But
that was the whitest keeping it real yo I have ever heard in my life.
I know.
Black guy should have kicked your ass.
Yeah, speaking of getting my ass kicked by the fellows, but yeah, so I don't know. Whatever. You know, that's the one thing. I'm proud of the fact, I think I've said that before, that we don't edit anything. You know, what's funny is, had this happened, because, you know, with all this new stuff with, like I was saying, with Spotify, and I figured it all out, how to do it all in one episode and this and that. That would have been perfect, because I wouldn't have had to cut the episode and everything like that. But now I'm going to have to merge the episode together. But it's not a big deal, because I throw in the other stuff that we do. It's easy. I did it last week in one chunk, and it was actually, I got it done. I had one minor issue as a technology thing, but it worked perfectly. The only thing still that bothers me is that, you know, because I'm listening to, like I said, I listen to our old clips and stuff like that on Facebook from like a year ago, and I like having the background music in our daily clips, you know. But at some point, you know, I've looked briefly, you know, to try to figure out. I'm not doing any more fucking work on this. I'm just not, man. Yeah. You guys are gonna have to and all the clips I did this week were with an app called Headliner that I've used anyhow, and you know, yeah, it worked out fine. So that's that. But yeah, anyhow, we're back. Technology issues or not, we're fucking here, man. All right, so we talked about raccoon
and our testicles are railroad track free.
Yeah, and that is the one thing I thankfully have never gotten my testicles caught, frozen to, or anything. My testicles are, you know, after 55 years, they're still intact. So they don't produce babies anymore, but you know, they're intact.
All right.
Yeah, that's my that's one of my pickup lines. By the way, I can't get you pregnant, so hey, I got that going for me.
Right.
Right. All right. So let's quit fucking around here. Let's get on to some more stuff.
All right. We stop fucking around, we won't have a podcast.
I know. So this one, I was out. God, where was I last week? I can't remember. Oh, I stopped to get lunch at Firehouse Subs last Saturday, which a lot of times I'll do. And did I ever tell you that I still do that? We used to stop at. I used to go to Firehouse with Derek. We started going years ago, and then we'd pick that up every week when we go over to see Mom on Saturdays. You know, so. Actually, since she's passed away, I mean, with few exceptions, I usually get Firehouse on Saturday, because it kind of I don't know, kind of reminds me of her. So.
Sure.
But plus I like the food.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're pretty good. You've taken me there a couple times. I like it. It's just fine.
Oh yeah. But so anyhow, so I'm sitting in Firehouse and I'm waiting for my order. I'm sitting down at the table, and I saw this dude and this lady walk in, and it just I immediately made the note on my phone. Have you ever looked at somebody in public and just like, man, that person looks like a fucking alcoholic?
Yes, I have.
Okay, okay. And I knew you'd be honest about that, but I'm sitting there and
Yep.
I'm like, that's just, I mean, so both of them have probably, maybe they lived, I don't know, they lived a hard life, but both of them looked like
Mm-hmm.
fucking drunks to me. They weren't stumbling or
Yep.
anything like that.
No,
But,
no,
you
no.
look at somebody like, you're like, that person drinks a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
or you, or,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, you see the gym blossoms, and yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah, or you see a guy or a lady walking out of the store with a big bottle of something or a case of whatever, and you're like, yeah, that's I figured, yeah, you would have that, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah,
I don't know,
absolutely.
it's
Right.
yeah,
Oh, I
and I
saw
don't
a
mean
guy at
to.
10 o'clock this morning walking out of a liquor store with a bag, and I went, "Oh, yep, look at that." 10 in the morning, man. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, well, shit. And I told you about that. I used to do that. I used to go at the liquor stores open at 8 in the morning because I had to when I had to work, like start work at 9 or whatever. The one place I was working, and yeah, I mean sometimes I'd have to go there at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning, literally eight oh
Hmm.
five, and grab whatever I needed, so I would have booze that
Yep.
night. But you know,
Oh, yeah,
I don't know.
right.
It's
Shit, man. Yeah, there was a point in my life where, well, in California, the liquor stores opened at 6 in the morning, and I would be standing out front at 5:45 waiting for them to open. Yep.
Well, and okay, so maybe that's another thing. This reminded me of something my dad used to say, and I know people did it a lot. They even talk about it in the 24-hour book. Did you ever go to a bar first thing in the morning to get well, or no?
I was never a bar drinker. I mean, not
Okay,
really. Yeah. So, I'm trying to think. Um, eh, no, I mean, again, I'd go to a liquor store, or
right.
wherever. Yeah. Convenience store, get a 12-pack of beer or whatever. Yeah. I generally went to stores. I didn't go to bars to get well. I'd go to
Right.
a bar occasionally to, hang out, but no.
Well, and I just wonder if and my dad used to, especially when there was a place that in Parma that he used to go to, and he said they at that time, and he's obviously back in the 70s. He got sober at 81. But he said
Hmm.
people would go there for what they called openers, and he goes,
Yeah.
there's usually the
Eye
same,
openers.
yeah, yeah, three to five guys every single day before work. And he said the
Hmm.
way the bartender was, all these guys would sit down. He knew exactly what they wanted. The guy would just, pour their shot or
Hmm.
whatever, and the bartender would just turn away, let them get their first fix, and then kind of like turn back around and see if anyone wanted anything else. And
Hmm.
I'm sure it was a sad sight, but you know what I mean. I don't know.
Hmm.
I never did that either. It's not that I didn't drink in the morning. I never went to a bar, in the morning.
Right. Mm-mm. No.
So yeah, I don't know. That just that was one that just crossed my mind. But yeah, judging people, yet you're a fucking alcoholic. But okay, so I'm not the
Yeah.
only one. Okay, good. All right. So another thing that ran across my brain this week, I believe. So a lot of people say that the first time that they took a drink, they felt like that was the thing that they were missing. Like from that
Hmm.
moment, it was their solution and that sort of thing. Do
Sure.
you think that was that for you or no? Did you feel that way?
Um, I mean, for me, I always wanted to drink even before I could, and before I did. I certainly drank before I should, uh, but no, I mean, I always wanted to drink. I family functions I've talked about before. I mean, any holiday, any family get together, that sort of thing. Certainly the people my mom hung out with, her friends and stuff, I'd watch them party. And I was like, fuck, I want to do that. I mean, that was early. I mean, 4 years old looking at those people going, yeah, I want to do that. So, I kind of already had it in my head that was going to be the solution to things. And it was, um,
Right.
But yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I don't recall my first drink. I think I talked about it in my story. I mean, family tradition, when teething babies, you rubbed whiskey on their gums. So,
Right.
I had my first actual drink. My mom told me a story of when she nursed me for a while, and the doctor, God, I love the fucking 60s and 70s. The doctor told her to drink a beer because it would help with the milk production. So I'm sure she had
Wow.
more than one, yeah, right. Doctor recommended, these cigarettes are good for you as opposed to these other cigarettes. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure I started ingesting alcohol from the get go, possibly even in your utero. So
Right.
by the time I got to it, it was there. It was already in my head that that's what I wanted to do, and I had already ingested the stuff before I even had memories of it. So yeah, it was sort of the natural progression for me.
Right. Let's just I mean I don't know, it's interesting. And I think you know what I mean. We've heard people stand up at a
Mm-hmm.
podium and say that, I had my
Sure.
first drink, and it's like, hey, and what it reminded me of, and you remember when Jim Benny said that the first time that he drank for years, and that chick that he was hanging out
Mm-hmm.
with, she's
Mm-hmm.
smoking crack, and he's like, why do you do this? Why do you do this? And he's like, fine, give me that, I'll try it. And he said, he first drag on that crack pipe, and his words always were hello.
Right.
And then he goes, then his word, or his line was, he goes, I only picked up crack once, but he goes, I didn't put it down for 3 years.
Right.
But and I think that the same as you, when I was a kid, and I think I've talked about it on here, between my dad, my uncles, and this and that. I remember at family gatherings that
Mm-hmm.
they used to think it was a fucking hoot to give
Mm-hmm.
me. It's like, oh, I'd walk over and I'm like, oh, can I have a drink of that water, and it's vodka, and then all of them be like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, take a sip, go, you're fine. You take a drink of it, and you're like, holy fuck,
Right.
and you're
Right.
you're 3 and 4 years old. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then sneaking drinks when I was, God, we still lived in Parma. We were stealing the little mini beers from, me and my friends were stealing from our families. I
Uh-huh.
know when we went to Pittsburgh, we were sipping on shit and whatever, but
Right.
I still don't. I don't think that I ever had. I don't remember having that moment where it's like, this is my deal and this is what I want to do
Mm-hmm.
forever type of thing,
Right.
But once I started going out and having fun and that sort of thing, and even back, I suppose, even back to that, I mean, stealing beer and stuff as a kid, I suppose it's a kid thing, but not necessarily normal drinking. I didn't drink normally in
Mm-hmm.
high school. I did sure shit didn't drink normally that year I went to college, and after that,
Right.
I never. And I've said it, I probably 100 times on here. I never, ever, ever just went out to dinner, had a meal, or sat down socially and had a drink with somebody, and that's it. And never, I don't think even
No.
once in my life, you know.
Mm-mm.
So
No. Oh,
I don't know.
absolutely not. I mean, the few occasions where for whatever reason, I was forced to only have, a couple of beers or whatever in some sort of situation. I was fucking miserable. Yeah,
Right,
that's definitely not anything I wanted to do. No, of course not. No, I want to get loaded.
right. Yeah, I mean, it never really made any sense to me. Just it. Not
Mm-mm.
that I don't know it. And in my head, it wasn't like I only want to drink if I can get drunk, but it never made sense to me in my head to just, it's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. You talk about, I don't know, like whatever the serving size is for a bag of potato chips. Okay.
Right.
It's ridiculous, or, having, I don't know, you get a bag of the little Hershey bars, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to have one? Are you just going to have one
Right.
little
Right.
bar of chocolate? I mean, I'm sure people do. It just
I
seems
guess.
insane to
Right.
me. Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it seem insane even on that manner?
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Right.
yeah, I don't know. It just, again, crossed my mind about, and I don't know if I heard that on something, but it just popped into my head. But yeah, it just never made sense to me. I mean, again, not that it did make sense to me that people found that as their solution, but, I just
Mm-hmm.
never had it happen. So, but,
No, no, yeah,
all
there was
right.
never. Well, I mean, generally when you hear that from the podium, they're like, yeah, I was, 13 years old, and I, it was my first, I went out for the first time and had, 6 beers and I had that feeling and it was all amazing. And yeah, like you, man, it was drabs and dribbles pretty much all the way up until when we got to the point where we could put in as much as we wanted to.
Right. Yeah, I kind of like that. Drabs and dribbles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever heard that put that way before. So yeah, that's kind of funny. All right. So another thing, and again, God only knows how I thought up about this, but so do you ever find yourselves, and not necessarily in a sobriety standpoint, but do you ever find yourself still looking for the easier, softer way? And I don't mean from your sobriety standpoint, but just in life.
Right. In life, of course. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But thankfully, had enough training, if you will, in this thing that I recognize when I'm doing it. And I know it's not what I should be doing because I know in the long run that it's not going to serve me very well in the immediate moment. It may be easier, but again, in the long run, I know that it's not going to be the best way to do something. So I generally stop myself from doing it. Go for the more difficult, harder way. But yeah, of course. Again, it's like everything else. We've spent the first 4 decades of our lives living that way. Yes, naturally, that's where our brains are going to go. First thought wrong, and then
Right.
we recognize it and go, it's probably not a good idea to do it that way. I should probably do it the right way, even if it's a little bit harder and a little more arduous.
That's the first big word of the podcast, arduous.
There it is.
But you know what? And I thought about that, and I know I do too. Not with and thankfully, when it comes down to, I don't want to say the important stuff, but the most important thing to us from a sobriety standpoint, I mean, thankfully, I don't think that either one of us, try to take that shortcuts or easier, softer way with this, this thing we do. But I know that, and it just popped into my head when you were talking. I know now, at least in the last, it's probably maybe it has been since I've been sober. Like if I buy something that has to be put together, I do. I go step by step through the instructions, even if it looks like something I know how to put together. Where
Sure.
I never used to do that. I mean, I look at them like I know how to do this, and I would just do it. And then either you end up with a piece on backwards, or you end up with 4 screws left, and it's not the spare ones that they send along.
Right.
Because there's certain things, and I think the chair that I have, and I ended up buying a new chair. And it comes with, I don't know, 3 or 4 extra screws. But when you look at the package of the screws, it's like they're all, I don't know, in cellophane or whatever plastic put on a piece of cardboard, and it says right on there, these
Right.
are extras.
Right.
So yeah. So when you're done, that you should have the extras, but yeah, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I know for a fact I want shit to happen. That goes back to impatience, right? I mean, I know for me, it's probably looking for the easier, softer way. It's just lack of patience, I would think, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Right. And I love you use, yes, I read the instructions now. Yeah, I'm the same way too. Wonder where we got that from. Here's the instructions, read them.
I know. I know, which is crazy, right? Because I mean, I know I was going to say we, but I know I never did that.
No, I didn't either. Right. Oh, I can throw this thing together. I can figure it out. Right. And yeah, like you said, you end up with extra shit or whatever. Or yeah, right. Or you didn't do that and you've got these extra ones. And so you're like, drilling new holes to put these extra screws in.
Yeah, I would have to say that I can't think of a specific example of that, but I'm sure that I drilled a couple of extra holes in my life putting stuff together. And just a side note, we're still getting a delay. Can you tell?
Yeah, I know. Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah. it'll be so interesting to see if this pieces together right. But we're going to end up having some
Mm-hmm.
spaces, because I know that, like, when I've said something, there's a pause, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's happening, whether it's on my end or your end, it's after I'm done speaking. That's where the delay is, either when it's getting to you
Right.
or coming from me, because there's going to be spaces in there. But anyhow, as long as we know that it's happening, then maybe now we recognize there's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
little delay in our conversation. So whatever the fuck, whatever, right?
Absolutely. Right.
Is what it is.
Yes. But yeah, clearly, yeah, like you said when we took our little break, apparently AT&T's running this thing.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, because I closed out the entire. I just came out of Riverside completely. I closed out of the browser. I didn't restart my computer, but I did. I had reset the modem before we started and stuff. But who knows? There's been
Yeah,
weird
me
shit
too.
going on in the internet world these days. So the last few days. So
There
who knows?
is.
But
Yep. So why
once
wouldn't it
again,
affect us?
well, yeah.
Who
Why
the
us?
fuck are
God
we?
damn it! I you know what? I think we're kind of a big deal. I think we just talked about that a little bit, didn't we?
All right. Did we? Are we?
Yeah, I know. I was trying. Okay, so yet another thing that's not going to change in season 5. Bill is still going to be a fucking egotist. uh,
Chief
yeah,
egotistical officer.
yeah. Did I ever tell you there was somebody that I had met. I met through a dating app right after we started this thing. So I mean, clearly,
Mm.
obviously, a couple years ago, or almost 2 years ago now.
All right.
And I don't know. It's one of the things that I was kind of joking around that one of the, at least for me, I think one of the funniest parts of meeting a new person is saying, if you really want to know me, sober not mature, listen to a couple episodes, you're going to get a really good fucking idea of whether or not you want to spend even a minute with me, let alone a little bit of time. And and this is after we had the website in place and stuff like that, and she's like, chief egotistical officer. She's like, she's like, what is that? Because I didn't know her that well. I knew her for like a month or something like that. And then what is yours? Yours is chief obscenity officer. That's it. Yeah, you're COO. and I said, she's like, are those like your alter egos or something, or what is that? And I said, yeah, kind of. But I'm like, yeah, just listen.
No,
It's
nothing
yes,
alter about them. Those are our egos.
right. Yeah, exactly. But the funny part that was, you figure a couple years ago now, and it was a person I had met that she was in Milwaukee working, and we met up for coffee and stuff like that, and hung out for the week that she was there. But I just trying to think, it was like a month or so ago. I mean, I keep in touch with her every once in a while, so I didn't completely. We haven't scared her away yet. So, but yeah, we are what we
All
are, as
right.
they say, right?
Need to try harder.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Okay. So there was one of the podcasts that I was listening to. I think it was last weekend, and this was kind of funny. This not necessarily goes along with what we were talking about, but I guess kind of it does. So the podcast that I was listening to, one of the guys on there said that he literally said that, he goes, every once in a while, he goes, he's been sober about the same amount of time as us, but he goes, I do enjoy being a prick every once in a while still. And he said he goes that he said some hat that he had. He didn't really explain what it was, but he said it was a hat that he has that he knew would get a reaction from some people. And he said he wore it out to the grocery store when he went grocery shopping on purpose, because he knew that people would see it and react to it, and he did it on purpose. And he said, he goes, yeah, he goes, I felt like being a prick that day, so I wore my. He was saying it wasn't like super offensive. He did not even say what it was, but I just thought that was kind of funny.
I
So
bet it was
my
red.
question is, do you? It could have been. I was thinking political. I was thinking, anything like, who knows? Who knows? But
Right.
So do you ever get in that mode at all, where you're just like, fuck it, I want to piss people off today?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. Well, did you happen to see the pictures I posted? Kathy got me a birthday present.
Oh, did you post them today?
I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't been on Facebook since this morning, but yeah, I know the T-shirt.
All
but
right.
yeah, it's
okay.
But yeah, explain it.
Well, it's a QR code, and if you scan it with your phone, it a little message pops up that says "Go fuck yourself,"
Yeah,
and I
I
cannot
thought
wait to wear it out into the wild.
that sounds like a Founders Day T-shirt,
Oh, it will be.
right? Well, and whenever it was that she came across it, she sent me a text, and she's like, "Look, she's like, when you do this," and she's like, "I'm ordering this for Mike for his birthday." And however she
Hmm.
came across it, and then when she got it, I scanned it, it came up, and I showed her, and she's like, "Oh, it's kind of cool, whatever." So yeah, she mailed it out. I don't know, whatever day it was. She's like, "Oh, I'm trying to get this to the post office because now it's late and whatever." But yeah, I haven't been on Facebook yet this
I
afternoon,
got
but
it
I'll take a
today.
look at it. Nice. So what that reminds me of is that uh, the 1 year for Founders Day when you wore the "I fuck for Satan" T-shirt.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so you
Prime
can give the whole
example.
backstory about that. Yeah, you can give the backstory on that, where it came from, right?
Well, our friend Bo had the T-shirt, and I went, "Oh, that is really fucking cool." And so I went and got one for myself. And yes, I wore it to Founders Day 1 year because yes, there's an answer to your question. Yes, I like to go out and be a prick. Absolutely.
And when I was listening to that podcast, I knew that was immediately what that T-shirt, of yours came to mind. And then even when, I mean, the T-shirt I wore last year, the 13 step one, I figured that I had a couple of people,
Hmm.
not many people, I don't think really even noticed it, but the people who did, I
Sure.
mean, I get a couple of reactions from it. But the same thing, I didn't give a fuck, and that's the reason that I put that shirt together is for that reason. I wanted to, I wanted to fuck with people.
Hmm.
But I remember so our friend Bo, who is a female, had that T-shirt
Hmm.
on, and I don't remember if I was around when you saw her with it, but then I remember you got it, and then yeah, we're Founders Day and we're walking around, and I'm not thinking anything of it, but then every once in a while, um, people were walking by, and you'd get either the "Oh my God, that's fucking great," or "Jesus Christ, did you see that T-shirt?" People coming up,
Uh-huh.
people wanting to get pictures with you, and it was, and then it was one of the few years that we had a rain delay and they cleared everyone out of the stadium and we're waiting up in the concession area,
Hmm.
and a lot of people had cleared out. And I remember you and I were walking back down, and you were walking in front of me and these two chicks were walking up the other way, and I saw them look at it with just this weird thing, and then the one girl says to the other, she's like, "Did you see what his T-shirt says? That's just so offensive."
Yep.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
clutch
I'm
those
like,
pearls, honey.
yeah, I know. I'm just like, that's the exact reaction that, well, I know that you wanted, but I was looking for all day
Hmm.
too. After, just looking for people to, and it's fun, but that Rule 62, right, or whatever,
Yep.
but just in general, I mean, fuck people. I don't know,
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't take yourself too damn seriously. Right.
right?
Absolutely. I mean, well, I've got my car. Actually the last 3 or 4 cars I've had. I have a Hail Satan sticker on the back of my car, and I've also got an AA triangle. And I actually got stopped a couple years ago by some guy who was like, "That an AA sticker?" I said, "Yeah." And he's all, "How do you make those two work together?" I just looked at him and said, "Dude, I'm an atheist, so it works just fine. The sticker's there just to make people think, and that's exactly why it's there. There is no God, there is no Satan. It's all made up, and and I still work an AA program. Deal with that."
Right. Well, and that's the whole thing with at the retreat, the fucking Jesus boy, and I
Hmm.
didn't even realize, I at the time that it happened, I didn't put, the two and two together, that because you're the
Hmm.
one that said after the fact that he saw you get out of your car, so
Right.
that's obviously when he decided that he was going to start trying to save you. But yeah, I
Uh-huh.
don't know. It just, I mean, your car, I don't know, all the stickers you have on there. I mean, the way that some of the T-shirts you wear. I mean, you've got you got your tattoos and your piercings and your rings and whatever. And I mean, I don't know. You've got a thing about you. You've got a purposeful. Well, there's a specific way that you dress. accessorize your car, accessorize yourself and stuff like that. And it's a part
Yep.
of, who you are, but it's not you. It's not, it doesn't
Right.
define you just because of the way all those different things. Now, I know that now, but it cracks me the fuck up knowing that. That's why, I mean, first of all, I never, and I know neither one of us really think about it anymore, that unless we, start laughing at each other about it, of how different you and I are, how different you and I look,
Right. Right.
and when we hang out, we don't think about it, because we could be anywhere, and we don't think
Right.
about it until we start getting weird fucking looks or whatever. And I mean, it's funny, but I don't know. People, this the same thing. I couldn't even imagine walking up to somebody, um, knowing what I know now about AA and the diversity of people and all those sort of things, and asking somebody that had a Satan thing and an AA sticker and saying, "How does that work?" Because I know how it does. It doesn't matter what the fuck you believe in. You know what I mean? I mean, well, I know
Oh,
you know.
absolutely. Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, well, there's a whole subset. I mean, there's a book. I own it. Satanic Recovery.
Right.
And it's bullshit, just like all the rest of it. Uh, but I do have the book. I've read about half of it, and because I wanted to check it out, because I'm open to spiritual concepts, and that is a spiritual concept. And like I said, it's, in my opinion, it's bullshit, just like the rest of it is, and that's fine. But it works for some people, so that therefore it has value.
Right. Well,
Just not for
in
me.
my right. Well, in my default, or I don't want to say defense to it, but I guess it is in a general sense, is that, AA is a worldwide thing. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
an American thing. It's not just a mainstream religion type of thing, because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that from the start, but and I think when, speaking of Founders Day, and I'm sure I brought this up on here before, but we were, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years sober, and the dude that read how it works at Founders Day,
Mm-hmm.
was clearly from India, had the whole headgear
Mm-hmm.
on, the whole
Right.
bit, and now I don't know right off the top of my head, in India, what do they worship? Do you know? It's not the mainstream god, right?
No, they've got a bunch of them. Yeah, the Hindus
Right.
do, and then there's subsets of that, and the Sikhs and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's several religions over there too, but yeah, I mean, the main one is Hinduism, and there was a bunch of gods in that one.
Right. So it it works for this dude, and I think at the time, I mean, he was like 15, 16, 17 years sober. And then you talk
Right.
about there's Buddhists out there, there's all these, it doesn't even matter. There's people all over the world that are
Mm-hmm.
sober through Alcoholics Anonymous, and
Right.
they are not us. They are not
Right.
you, they're not me, and they're certainly not
Mm-hmm.
walking into and praising, the God of mainstream religion. And as soon as, it wasn't even that Founders Day that came to light, but it was just kind of like, what a great example of the thing,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the whole point. This thing doesn't, the AA thing doesn't work if it's only an American mainstream God thing. It doesn't work.
Right.
Doesn't work everywhere if that's all that it is. It just doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like saying the only way you can get sober in this program is if you eat hot sauce. Well, I can't eat
Right.
hot sauce. Well, then you can't be, a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Well, why not? Can I have a spice greater than myself rather than? I don't want hot sauce.
Right. Can it be
you
paprika?
know? Yeah. can, can it be anything other than?
Cumin?
But yeah, I don't know.
Cumin?
Yeah, yeah. Let's put some cumin on our dinner. What you put what on
Right.
there?
What?
I misunderstood. But yeah, so and I knew that, literally your Satan T-shirt was the first thing I thought about when, as far as being a prick, and it is fun sometimes. I think the whole point to that,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess to wrap up our little thing, that little story in a nice little bow, is that, first of all, people take themselves too goddamn seriously. We talked about that, but on top of it
Mm-hmm.
too, we're not wearing out a T-shirt trying to hurt people. We're not being
No.
racist with a T-shirt. If
No.
we're
Be positive. I
we're just
fuck
out
for
there to
Satan.
Right. Right. but you know what I mean. There's a different story with going out and just wanting to shock people a little bit than, I mean, we're not being mean or cruel. So I don't know. It's funny to me.
Mm-mm.
It's and
Mhm.
I was completely 100% agreeing with that guy when he was talking about. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck he wore, but excuse me. Talk amongst yourself for a minute. I think I need to take a drink of coffee. Hang on.
All right. Yes. And now my lovely sister has gotten me a t-shirt with the QR code on it that when you scan it, tells you to go fuck yourself.
Ooh, that was weird. Sitting there talking, and I'm like, I start choking on air or something like that. So I don't know what the fuck that was, but anyhow. So yeah, that's yeah, definitely. You know what? Do me a favor and text me those pictures, or I
Mhm.
can grab them off of Facebook and I'll post them on our
Yeah,
Instagram page too.
right. Well,
Okay,
I put them
cool,
on the Sober Not Mature page as well, so they're there.
gotcha. Okay, yeah, I'll grab them off of there and put them on Instagram. I won't. I'll try not to cross post them so they're not double posted. Because yeah, when you put them on Facebook, it doesn't shoot over to Instagram, but it does vice versa. So,
And I think this episode's cover picture, thumbnail, whatever the hell it's called, will be that QR code.
ooh, yes, yeah. That's fine. That'll work. I think that should be. That's nice. I like that. All right. Well, ooh. Now that makes me happy. I like that. I like that a lot.
Good. See, I'm
Okay.
making other people happy with my awful, obnoxious behavior.
Right. Right. Yeah, you're making your little corner of the world a better place, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so this is one from God, this is from a while ago from Keep It Simple. Um, Today I'll list the people and places that are risky for me to be around. And I put in parentheses, I didn't read this yet. Even though we are spiritually fit, are there still places that you will not go? So let me repeat that. Today I'll
Mm.
list the people and places that are risky for me to be around. And just as a side note, even though I mean we feel that we're spiritually fit, are there still places that you will not go?
Uh, I mean, no, there's really no place I won't go. I can go anywhere as long as I have a reason to be there. But there's certainly people I wouldn't. It's not even risky for me to hang out with them. I absolutely don't want to. I've got friends and stuff that's that still party and whatever. Too goddamn old for it, but they do what they do, and that's fine, and I don't care. But I'm certainly not going to go spend an afternoon with them because there's just no fucking point.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
So I mean,
and I mean
it's not risky. It's just fucking boring.
right. Well, and you said you kind of hit the nail on the head there. And what we have talked about is that the whole thing with the spiritually fit thing, at least as far as what it says in the big book and what we were taught, and I think what we live by, is as long as we're someplace that we have a reason to be there, being there
All
for,
right.
we were always told be there for the event, not the party. Especially if
Mm-hmm.
it's at a bar or something like that. Like for instance,
Sure.
I I would have no reason to go into a strip club these days,
Right.
Um, and the thing of it is, it'd be like I never got strip clubs were fun to go into with a group of people. I've been into plenty of strip
Mm-hmm.
clubs, and Dawn and I used to go in with a group of friends. Dawn and I, my wife and I,
Right.
used to
Oh
go
yeah.
to,
Right.
and that was great, but I'm not saying that I've never sat in a strip club by myself while I was drunk years ago, and watched some
Mm-hmm.
chicks doing their thing. I've done that. Okay, but these days I just wouldn't see the point. Now, casino almost, was along those same lines. I don't know that I would just go into a casino by myself. It just
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't. I don't know. It's just I'm on that. The thing of it is, I used to go in there obviously and waste a lot of money at a casino. That's number one, and I still think I have that. I have that ism, when on the gambling side of things too. I
Mm-hmm.
think, and I don't want to find out, but I also used to go into casinos and drink and gamble, but
Right. Oh yeah.
same thing, different story. You, me, and Michael went in there. I went to a casino last year on New Year's Eve with Kathy. Things like that, I'm fine with, but places I just don't need to be. I don't need to go. When I was down in South Carolina, I was trying to pick out a restaurant that I could go along the water and this and that. Had this place I went to it would have been in the middle of the summer on a summer night and shit like that. I probably would not have gone to that place just because it was like a big party bar, with a restaurant,
Right.
but they had decent food. It was a cool atmosphere. It was right on the water and stuff like that. But I don't just need to go into a place like that to eat if there's some, big drinking party going on. I mean, there's other places I can go eat. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of my
Well,
rules,
totally.
I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, I'll go into a quote unquote dive bar. If there's a band playing that I want to see, I will go and watch the band. I'm not going into that same bar on a fucking Tuesday night with nothing's going on and just hanging out. What the fuck for?
Right.
It's boring. Yeah,
Right.
it's not something I want to do. It just doesn't interest me. It's not entertaining. It's sure as hell not going to make me feel good. So why the fuck would I do it?
Right. Yeah, and even when I was in Memphis, the place that I sat in that blues bar where I had I ate dinner there, before
Mm-hmm.
it was before the band was up and everything, but I knew that there was going to be a blues band at 7 o'clock, and I got done eating and had probably 45 minutes until the band was going to come on, and I just walked up and down Bourbon Street and hung outside. It was fucking beautiful, and I watched people walk by, and I
Right.
did. I went back in the bar. I sat by myself. I was there for about 40 to 45 minutes, and I got that feeling that's like, yeah, you don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I I didn't want to drink. I had no desires, no
Mm-mm.
triggers.
Right.
you know, it was literally, it was nothing like that. It was just that feeling and that knowledge that it's coming up on 8 o'clock. The place is filling up. I see more and more people ordering drinks. I've seen enough. The band was great. I had a wonderful fucking time,
Yeah.
and I left. It was great.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Right. Yeah. It gets to a point where it's it's just not fucking entertaining anymore.
right,
Absolutely. And I've left places like that too. It's like, fuck, man. Okay. I saw what I wanted to see, got out of it what I wanted to get out of it, and now I'm fucking going because there's nothing here left for me. Yeah, that's
right.
fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Why would I want to stay longer? And again, I didn't get sober to be fucking miserable. So I practice these principles in all my fucking affairs. I'm not going to make myself miserable just because I think I have to stick it out or some bullshit. No,
Right.
I got what I wanted. I'm done. Good night.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing of it is, and it's kind of funny. I was just thinking about when, um, obviously, when I was still drinking, I never cared about that point right there. Like you said, this isn't entertaining anymore. I would stay there because I was drinking and figuring, I'm going to hang out. I'm just going to keep drinking and see what happens. See if,
Right.
you know, you're waiting for the moment to happen, and like, well, I'm here, I'm
Mm.
just going to keep drinking anyhow. So yeah, just boy, we talked about that before. Freedom, not having dependence on anything anymore, and not just the booze, but the dependence on having to sit in a place like that, like you said, where you're not having fun, this is not entertaining, but the only reason you're sticking around is because you're waiting for something to fill your boring existence.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Right.
Which is, I
Yeah.
mean,
And
literally what it comes down to. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Right. And I don't have that hole to fill anymore. So I again got what I needed and I'm good. Going home.
I agree. So, all right, I think I've got one more here. I think I'm just going to do one more because this delay, and I'll be honest with everyone out there, it's kind of irritating me.
Yeah, no shit.
So we're going to do one more, and then we're going to be done before one of us blows a fucking fuse because of technology.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so hey, this is probably a good one now that I see it. Is your worst day now better than your best day when you were drinking? Obviously, a saying that people talk about all the time. So, you always hear people when they're talking in their leads in most cases, but they're like, "Oh, my worst day now is better than my best day when I was drinking." Do you agree with that? Disagree with that? Or have any opinion on that?
Oh, it's fucking bullshit. I had some fucking wonderful times when I was getting loaded. Yes, of course I had miserable times too. No, my worst day today is not better than my best day when I was getting loaded. No, absolutely not. That's bullshit. Am I but deep down in I know what the hell they're saying, because deep down in my core, yes, I deal with things better. My life in general is better. Of course, this is a better way to live. But so I understand the sentiment of the statement, but the statement itself is pure bullshit.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's actually what you were when you said the sentiment of the statement. I mean that kind of boy. This is inadvertently we just wrapped everything together in a nice little bow for the podcast, because that's how the reading started, because of all the divine stuff, right? But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
same deal. I know exactly what people are talking about, but I've always thought it's just one of those things in my head when people say it. I'm just kind of like, I had a lot of fucking fun, you know. I mean, be before things got, and granted there's always the point, and I don't know when I crossed the point. I mean, I know when it was bad, but I don't know when everything was bad or everything got bad. But we talked about it, and I like the fact that I don't know, I, I was almost going to say hate. That's the wrong way to put it. I don't like listening to podcasts, listening to stories, listening to leads where people act as if they never had a good time when they were drinking, because that's fucking ridiculous, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's
Of
honest.
course.
I don't think it's being true, to their recovery. I don't think it's being true, to people out there. I think it makes other people that are newly sober, and I don't want to use the word shame because I hate that fucking buzzword these days too. But
Mm.
I think it makes newly sober people feel uncomfortable if they're looking back and they're like, you know what, I had a lot of fucking fun, but it just shit went bad. Shit went off the rails.
Right.
Ooh, another one about rails. Back to the rails. Um, but I think it makes people, just sit back and possibly even doubt themselves. Maybe I shouldn't feel like that. So anyone that's listening to us, you know what? Again, we're gonna keep it real, yo. and tell you that it's okay. It's okay to look back and say that, yeah, I had a really fucking good time. I had a great time at this time. I had a fun time. Yes, I was drinking, and yes, I was drunk, and blah blah blah. But shit got bad, and that's why I'm sober now. There's nothing wrong with that. You can recognize those different
Mm-mm.
pieces of your drinking life and not be ashamed of it. At least that's our opinion, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there we go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I went off on a little bit of a rant there. Both of us did, so I like that. Thank you.
Nice.
All right, so but seriously, and although we both kept our composure through this, this time frame, this delay is I know it's irritating me, and I'm sure it's irritating the fuck out of you too, Mike. And I'm hoping,
Yes, it is.
that all this little talk about the delay, people are going to be like, it sounded fine. I hope everything pieces together, but at this point, we're fucking done. We're done dealing with it. So, Mike, it's your turn.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. Even though it was a little screwy, hey, when isn't it? All right. So go out there, do something nice for somebody this week. Be kind to each other, be good to each other. And you know what? It's fucking time. It's time. It's time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off till you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.
your volumes were spiking on that one. I like that. I like that. You
Nice.
put a little bit more oomph in it again. So yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I don't know. So I know what the picture's going to be. You'll do the title. We'll see what that comes out to be. But hey, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
It's season 5. Welcome to the shit show once again. And we appreciate you guys hanging out for maybe another 52 episodes and dealing with this fun technology bullshit that we have to deal with. So all right. That about wraps it up.
Thanks, AT&T.
Yeah, fuck you, whoever's fucking up our podcast. All right, man. I love you, brother, and I'll talk to you later.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
And now it is time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here.
Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.